listen to my July 4th AI song? I actually have two.
No, what is it?
Oh,
Hold on. Let me
Eli,
send.
that song, we're recording right now, by the way. That song has been in my head. I actually played it in the car just to listen to it.
Hold
It's
on. Are you
going to be
talking about? So there's two versions
okay.
with
I don't know.
similar lyrics. The
Okay.
one from my podcast. I don't know if you guys have listened to the podcast yet, but
I did twice.
thank you. The one from my podcast is a kind of soulful, patriotic about the Declaration. But then the other one, which I think is catchier, which is just called "Enough King George."
That's the one.
Is like if the Revolutionary War was a 1985 sitcom, that this would be the theme song. I gotta send it to you because it's really. It's anyway. We'll have a lot of fun with it.
This is like the 80s Hamilton.
Oh, it's so catchy. I have a question. How do you do this? I mean, I know you've been writing songs now for a couple of years, and we are the beneficiaries. I remember saying to Matt Welsh once, Eli sent me his song sheet. He's like, yeah, Nancy, he sends them to more than one person because they're so good.
I sent him to Matt too.
How do you do this? How do you write the lyrics and then just tell the AI like do this, or what do you do? What's the prompt?
We should talk about it on air because that would be a fun.
We're on air. We're recording.
Oh, we are. Okay. Well, here's what I do. I write the lyrics, and then there are prompts in the program that I use. Okay. And the prompts, then it's a matter of like you have to refine it, and it's like an A/B test. So you get two versions of it. I like to think of it, you sort of start like when you're making sourdough, you start with like, what is that called? Like
a starter?
Sourdough starter.
The starter. You start with a starter. And that's the first 30 seconds, or it's 30 seconds at some point in the song, because I can also add before and after that if I want. And what I do is I kind of refine it from there. Sometimes that means like remixing it with slight tweaks and different. If the lyrics don't work, it means adding different prompts, and there are all these different prompts, and you sort of have to learn as you go how the prompts work. Hold on, I'm just going to send you on the message. That is the link to Enough King George, which is, I dare say, a bop.
It is such a banger, man. It's a bang. And what program to use? What is it? IDEO? What's the program?
UDIO.
Yeah. And you've been doing this. You were sort of early to the game here. I mean,
I've been doing it for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then I actually kind of think this is the one I used in the podcast called "If You Don't Leave, We're Gonna Fight."
We're gonna fight. It's so good. We're gonna have it as the outro.
Oh, cool.
Before we get there, so good morning, Sarah Hepola. And do you see how I'm keeping my voice very nice and sweet?
Nancy, you look great. What are you talking about? I'm looking at you now. You're like, I'm loving it.
So I just want the listeners to know we were recording. I was recording in a different room because it's sunny here. It's so nice and the light was so pretty, but the Wi-Fi was kind of crappy. So I moved to the regular little room where we usually record. And I was like, oh, the light's not. Sarah's like, yeah, you look older.
So you did.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a woman, you learn that what light can do.
That's
and
right.
Here we are on video now. And I'd like to say good morning, Nancy Rommelman. We have a guest. I'll introduce that guest in a moment. Before I do that, I wanted to say that we are on YouTube for those who would like to watch us. I mentioned this earlier, and at the time we were getting really nice notes. We had a couple of comments and they were lovely. And I felt a little bit like almost confused that the YouTube comments had been so nice, but now we're officially YouTubing because we have been roasted.
That's right.
And what's really fascinating about our roasting is, first of all, very gentle. It's like 5 comments, but it was on a podcast called Men, Where Have You Gone? The debate. And it was about us. It was our valiant attempt as women to argue for the dignity, importance of men. And they responded with the following. One comment says, next time try discussing the topic. This felt like I went to a loony house. Someone else said, Yap Fest without substance. Women are so disorganized. SMH. Smack my head. Someone else said, do not watch this video, in all caps. The topic in the headline is not discussed at all. This, of course, is because we spent the first 30 minutes talking about the Karen Reed case. And so and we don't do full videos on YouTube. So it cut off right as we were about to talk about men and whatever.
So we didn't, like you said, we got lightly roasted, which means we just got toasted over there. But I do expect we'll be in for more roasting. Sarah, we have a guest that we've had here before, but I have a sense that you may have written an introduction for him.
I did write an introduction. Let me do it real quick. Eli Lake is a journalist and podcaster for the Free Press. He makes extraordinary historical cultural narratives. He did that also for his podcast, The Re-Education with Eli Lake. And before that, he did other things, including being born in Philadelphia, according to Wikipedia, and writing for The New Republic, The New York Sun, and The Daily Beast. He's obsessed with making AI music, and he made outro songs for both his previous appearances on this podcast, where we talked about Israel, conspiracy theories, and culture war politics. Something we'll likely discuss today, though I have on my brain left-wing radicalism turning violent. That was the first reason we started talking about having Eli back. But anyway, I've only met him over Zoom. Does he have a real body? I don't know. I can't confirm. Eli Lake, welcome to Smoke 'em If You Got 'em.
Love to be here, Sarah and Nancy. Always an honor. Thank you for having me.
We are going to talk about left-wing violence, something that obviously I have some experience with. And we're also going to talk about your wonderful latest episode of Breaking History called America Has Always Been a Dangerous Idea. I guess the two topics are sort of connected. So should we start a little bit about that latest
speaking
episode?
of toasting and roasting on YouTube, I'm used to that too. And I got like some negative comments on the podcast from people who thought I was denigrating America by saying it was a dangerous idea. I was like, no, read the essay, listen to the podcast. It's a love letter to the Declaration. What are you talking about? But
I want to say that I listened to it twice, and both times at the very end, I choked up.
Oh, thank you.
I really I was just slightly overcome by how true, at least to me, what you were saying was.
Well, it was from the heart. Because I love what I believe is the sort of animating spirit, what makes us exceptional in this country.
Well, Eli, I think one of the things I really like about you is that you often put your hand on third rails.
I try.
I mean, I think that's what makes you an interesting thinker, writer, podcaster. Like, that's where you go. I don't want to say you're fearless because I think that word is a little bit meaningless.
And by the way, also, it's like you don't want someone to be entirely fearless.
No.
A little fear is good.
That's sociopathic.
Yeah, right.
But I think you, like, it would seem to be writers' like intuition that they would go toward the controversy and what's rich and complicated, but you'd be surprised how many of our cohort in the journalism profession move the opposite direction. They go away from the fire.
I feel like it's a little generational.
Tell me more.
I mean, our generation, we're Gen Xers.
Yeah.
We grew up.
Nancy's nodding.
Yeah, but we grew up in an era where the journalists from a generation earlier were like, Watergate, Woodward and Bernstein, Pentagon Papers. And we were still like, I remember I was like, 14 years old and I would read Spy magazine. And it made me want to be. It made me want to be a journalist. I was like, I want to do this. And Spy magazine, that's all they did is they found the third rails and they picked and then prodded. I used to love reading Christopher Hitchens, who I later became friends with and kind of mentor to me. Yeah. Like the people that I kind of, when I decided I wanted to be in journalism and do this for my life as a profession, that I was influenced by people I thought that's what we were supposed to do. And then something has happened, I think, over the ensuing years where, it's no longer, that's no longer normal. I mean, it was like, now it's like, the Vox explainer is like, here's why the conventional wisdom is right, or something like that.
Totally.
Do you find it weird, Eli? Because I get this a lot. I get like, oh, thank you so much for doing the work you're doing. And it's like, this is what journalism is. I
Well,
mean,
I
journalism
thank
is,
you. I want to thank you for just
oh,
going. Like, for example, we are watching on social media short videos of the ICE protests / riots, and you can find uh, anything depending on the algorithm of what's fed to you to basically that will determine what you think of what's going on. Either this is an
Yeah.
incredible overreach or this is an insurrection or whatever it is. And it's so valuable to have you there kind of telling us no, it's a messy muddle middle. And
You
I
mean Nancy specifically?
yeah, Nancy specifically, she did the same thing during the George Floyd riots, and when she all the stuff about Portland. I understood Portland because of your journalism, and
Totally.
and it wasn't because the videos I was being sent were false, and it wasn't. It was
That's right.
though there was a truth. It was part of it,
yeah.
but you kind of by being there, by talking to the actual people who are
On,
there, and that
on,
gives us this a full picture. It's invaluable when we are like fed things that are meant to sort of push our buttons and like lead us to like almost react instead of think through what's happening. So I want to thank you.
well, Eli, thank you.
Well,
I
I want to
actually,
thank you both too. I want to thank you both for showing up today, and I think you're brave. And thank you.
I pinned a tweet and I just decided I'm going to leave it there forever, just explaining exactly what you explained, like the kind of little two sides of the thing. But I guess, of course, it's very nice when people say, nice things to you about your work. But for all the like baby journalists out there, and I understand we're in a different day, and Sarah has many times said on this show, journalism is what you make it. And I know that, we're all helped all the time by being able to Google something or ask Grok something or whatever. But really getting out there on your own 2 feet and getting a story is just absolutely delightful and enriching, and you really will, even if for only selfish reasons, you go out and do it because it's so enlivening. It's really worth it. So get out there, kids. It's worth it.
All
Totally.
right. Well, it's good to talk to you guys today.
Thanks, everyone.
We're done. I have so many things that I've wanted to talk to Eli about. Eli, I don't want you to make you the point person on anti-Semitism, but let me do that anyway. The mainstreaming of this uh, had been bad, is getting worse. We've been watching it for a long time. It takes a lot to kind of pop my eyes open. I got my eyes popped open at the Glastonbury festival recently when some act named Bob Villain that I never even knew existed stood on stage chanting death, death to the IDF. And the entire audience started chanting. Now, I don't know individually if it was the entire, but the audience starts chanting back. I have rarely gotten chills watching something like that. Can you tell me if you saw that
Okay,
video?
so yeah, I did. And first, a joke. I was unfamiliar with the oeuvre of Bob Villain.
Yeah.
And after checking out some of his tracks, I think he should change his name to Jacob Villain because this is freaking blasphemy to the great bard of Hebbing, Minnesota. You suck, Bob Villain. Anyway, your music
He's
stinks.
the wallflowers of
Exactly.
this
Exactly.
genre. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the blues traveler of
Yeah. Okay.
anti-Semitic transgressive nonsense. Um, okay, let me explain something. I normally, I don't like it, and I'm Jewish, obviously, so it bothers me. But let me just say, chanting "death, death" to the IDF after a series of unbelievably successful military operations, culminating in the demolition of Iran's nuclear program, but
Mhm.
not limited to taking out Iran's top military leadership, the leadership of Hamas and Hezbollah, the result of the fall of Bashar al-Assad. I mean, we can go through the list, but Israel's kind of been on a heater since, you could argue early 2024, I guess. Um, in after October 7th, obviously, which was a horrible tragedy. So chanting death, death to the IDF in that context, right after these successful Iranian operations coming out on culminating everything else, is a little bit like chanting Tom Brady sucks after he wins his 7th Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
are losers. I'm sorry, you're losers, loser. And let me tell you what I mean. All these people like Tucker Carlson and Candace and all these idiots. Trump is hosting Bibi Netanyahu for like the week. It's Bibi week at the White House, and he's like nominating him for a Nobel Prize. Bibi is for Trump, and Trump is saying, "Oh, I love you. You're wonderful." And so all of this concern, like on the right side of it, the MAGA right, like, oh, that's not working. And then I look at all the campus people, universities are not in session right now. But like the region is leaving you behind. There is a good chance we could see Abraham Accords, meaning normalization agreements with Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, the world's most populous Muslim country. There was just an announcement from a group of local sheikhs in Hebron that they would like their own kind of mini Abraham Accords with Israel, basically pulling away for the first time from the PLO and the Palestinian Authority. Things are changing right now for the better in the region as a result of Israel demonstrating its military brilliance and prowess. And this is the moment you're going to choose the side of the death cult. This is the moment you're going to, good luck with that, everybody. And like they think that they have all this momentum, and like, oh, the young. I'm not worried about young. Oh, Israel's so isolated. Really, it's isolated. Lebanon, the government of Lebanon, for the first time, I think ever, has presented a proposal to like and is seriously going about disarming Hezbollah, restoring the monopoly of violence to the Lebanese government for the first time in 50 years, pretty much. It's a country racked by civil war. That's an enormous deal, not just good for Israel, it's good for the Middle East. And you guys are chanting death, death to the IDF at a kind of mid-tier music festival. Mazel tov, as my people would say.
Adam from over at the Dispatch,
Of
whose last
course,
name
Adam is a friend. Yeah, I love him.
He's great. He wrote a really interesting essay the other day about some of these death cultists, and then he and I were going back and forth. And he said, I don't think that people realize how closely connected boredom is with the death cult.
Definitely.
It costs absolutely nothing to chant death, death to the IDF. Like whatever. It's like death, death. Yeah, I'll have an orange soda. Oh yeah, to the IDF. Like it means nothing. And it's completely superficial. And it's also going to run out of gas. And it's going to be whatever the next thing that they're bored with that they're going to be chanting. So I agree with you. It doesn't mean anything. Is it obnoxious? Yes. Is it disgusting? Yes. But it also doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and by the way, there is a dangerous element to it, which is that we have seen an outbreak of more violence against like kind of random Jews since October 7th. So that sucks, and that's really bad. And there are different ways we can talk about kind of dealing with that, but I gotta say, like this like, oh, you're gonna lose the next generation. And I'm like, well, I'm going to lose. I feel like Israel is going to lose like the idiots in the next generation, maybe, or you're going to find another cause. You know what I mean? I just, that's my kind of pat response now is just like, find another hobby. Like, obviously, like, it didn't amount to anything. Hamas is finished. Right now, Hamas is negotiating what appears to be at least, I mean, there was a really revealing piece, I think, in an Israeli newspaper. I'm not sure, but it was like an interview with a kind of, I don't know, one of the remaining senior Hamas military leaders, and it's like 95% of our leadership is either dead or gone. And maybe they'll hang around. I don't think they should be allowed to rearm. Ditto for Iran, but they have suffered enormous blows, and that's kind of what matters at this point. And I kind of trust that for every radicalized, Intifada cosplayer at Columbia, there's a smart kid, reading his John Stuart Mill and saying, I want nothing to do with these people. Where do I, sign up?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that generation seems to be smarter and dumber than they've ever been,
Yeah.
because the access you have to interesting information, interesting different cultures, it's never been so incredible, but at the same time it's overwhelming and a lot of them are checked out. I think Nancy's point, or whoever, Adam.
Adam.
So anyway, his point about boredom is so good, and it's a common thread that's been going through several of the stories that we've talked about, whether it's like true crime obsession, celebrity obsession, the activism gone awry, that people are less engaged in their work or their families than they ever have been, and they just have all this free floating time. And it's like the internet or pop culture floats in to kind of bloat up that time and radicalize them.
Sometimes it's very superficial radicalization. It's just like something to click. It costs them nothing. Click,
There are going to be a few
whatever.
people that are going to be like true believers.
Yeah.
And the difference when you're talking about violent domestic terrorism is that in 2025, you don't really need a group to do some damage, like the Weather Underground. You can self-radicalize, and you can do things you can do it yourself, I mean, and I think the internet provides a substitute for physical community for a lot of these folks, and it's sad. But again, like I just sort of, they failed in terms of trying to create a domestic political force that would break the U.S.-Israel alliance. I think that was, like, you could argue was that was on the table a year ago when we were talking about the Chicago Democratic Convention. And then weirdly, we thought it might be on the table with Trump, because there are these voices in the MAGA coalition that sound a lot like the voices in the far left. And well, what can I tell you? 12-day war didn't work out very well. And as a result, Israel sort of demonstrated that it is this regional superpower. And I think that there's going to be a real knock-on effect. I mean, if you're one of the Gulf states that hasn't done the Abraham Accords list, why wouldn't you want a normalized relationship with Israel at this point? Israel is like, taking care of business. Israel, by the way, in taking out Iran's nuclear program with the help of those beautiful B-2 bombers and the bunker busters or whatever, from the United States, like that was a gift to Saudi Arabia. That was a gift to all these other Arab states that are traditionally, the bitter, kind of forever rivals of Israel. So again, I don't really see it. I think overall things are looking pretty good, and I'm not saying it's going to work itself out. There's still, you have to sort of make these arguments, but and then add to that, like, look at the state of the most elite universities right now.
Oh boy.
I think Trump.
Hey, listeners in listener land, and for those of you on YouTube, maybe watching it, thanks for being here. This is the end of the free portion of this episode. If you would like the entire episode, gotta head over to Substack. That's smokeandpodcast.substack.com. Become a paid subscriber. Many ways to do that. You get the full episodes, and you get some other niceties, and etc. and etc. And if you are over here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button as well. We appreciate it. Tell your friends. Thanks.